Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Brittany of brittanyjjoneslivelovesew, and in today's video we are going to be sewing. Now I haven't decided just yet as of right now if it's going to be a sew in 30 video, so make sure that you stick around to the end and I'll decide if we make it a sew in 30, but I just know we're going to be sewing. And we're going to be sewing Mccalls 7831. This is one of their Learn to Sew for Fun patterns. I love little jumper overall type dresses like this, so this is what we're going to be working on today. Before we get started, I want to let you know that I'm going to be adding a little bit more to this video as far as the whole process is as a whole for sewing, for cutting out the pattern, cutting out fabric, marking, transferring dots and notches, making any kind of adjustments. I am going to show you a little bit more of that in this video. I can't show you me cutting out the pattern because I already did that, my bad. But my fabric, I haven't cut my fabric out. I only have my pattern pieces cut out. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you how I cut out the pattern pieces, mark and transfer all those markings. I did make some adjustments to my pattern pieces, so I will show those to you as well. Now the reason for me doing this is because I've started to get new people subscribing. Welcome, I appreciate you subscribing to the channel. And some of you have asked me, do I make adjustments off camera or do the pattern just fit me straight out the envelope? And that is not true. And I can understand if you're just joining how that could look. And I don't want that to be perceived. So I'm going to start doing more of the entire process. I also noticed there's not a lot of videos out there that shows you all the entire process. A lot of us start with everything cut out and ready to sew. So I'm going to start to get out of that habit and start from the beginning. I think it's important. It's an important part of sewing. You know, you need to see, are there adjustments? Do you need to make those adjustments? You know, the marking tools I use, cutting tools, all of that is a part of sewing and it needs to be shared. So I got my little spill out of the way. For this project, I am going to be using this jumper dress here. I'm going to be using linen. I don't think it's on the suggested fabrics. It is not. They suggest corduroy, denim, cotton blends, and velveteen. But I want it in linen, so I'm going to make it in linen. If you are new to sewing, definitely go by the fabrics that they suggest until you're comfortable with, you know, going off grid and trying your own thing. I don't know how this is going to look in linen, but I'm just going to go for it and cross my fingers that it works out. If you're new to the channel, be sure to like this video and subscribe. And now we can get started. Alright y'all, so let's go ahead and get started. Again, I'm working on Mccalls 7831. I'm going to go with view B, which is the one the model is wearing on this pattern. It has just one single pocket on the top of the jumper dress. Here are my pattern pieces right here. Again, these are already cut out. And here's the interfacing that I'm going to be using. We have some facing pieces as well as the straps that need to be interfaced. So I'm going to be using this black interfacing here, and I'll be sure to link it for you in the description box. I found this at Measure Fabrics, but I know Joann Fabrics and possibly Hobby Lobby has it in stock as well. For my marking tool, I'm going to be using this chalk roller, and you can see it just easily guides over the fabric. So this is the one I'm going to be using. Found this one too at Joann's, and I'm pretty sure Hobby Lobby has this as well. I usually use a rotary cutter when I'm cutting, but I'm going to use scissors today because my blade is dull and I don't like cutting with a dull blade. So until I get another one, I'll be using my scissors. So I'm going to go ahead and change my angle a little bit higher so I can start laying out the pattern pieces and you can get a fuller view of me laying out everything. Okay y'all, so this is pretty much as high of an angle as I can get you. I'm trying to make sure that you can see most of my fabric here. But first thing first, I do want to show you all that I did make an adjustment right here on the side. On the back of the pattern, it has the finished garment measurements listed down here at the bottom for the hip, for the width of the lower edge, and also for the back length from the base of the neck. But if you look on pattern piece number 1, the front piece, it also has the finished garment measurements here for the bust, for the waist, and for the hip. And so for me, because this is just a loose jumper dress, I cut the 18 up here for around the bust and a little bit over here for the waistline area. But then once I got down here toward the hip, I started to merge over to the 20. And I did that because the hip is a 47, but my hip is a 48. This 20 right here is a 49. So I wanted to merge over to make sure that I count for my hip. I did that for piece 1, and I also did that for piece 2. It's an 18 up here, and then I started to merge over right up under the waistline a little bit over toward the hip. So I just want to show you all the sizing that I cut for my dress and show you that modification. So now I can go ahead and lay my pieces onto my fabric. Okay, y'all, so I've already cut out the 2 facing pieces, and I did that because my angle isn't wide enough for you all to see everything I have going on, but I have this big piece here, so I'm going to show you all how I cut that out. Here's my rotary cutter. I'm going to use this because I can't stand cutting with scissors, so I'm just going to take my time to cut this out. Okay, so now I have this cut out. Let me go ahead and grab my scissors and my marking tool so I can snip into my notches. I have some pins so I can poke through my dots. First, I'm gonna go ahead and snip my notches. A notch here and a notch here. Here's a notch here. And it's also one up here. Okay, now I have an X here. I have a circle here. And I'm not doing view C, so I don't need to transfer these markings. If you're gonna do view C with those 2 pockets around the waistline, you need to transfer these markings. I'm not though, so I'm gonna skip that. I'm gonna move this down just so it can be in frame and you can see what I'm doing. I'm gonna grab one of these pins here. And up here, it says a placement line. I'm gonna put a pin right here in the circle for size 18. And then I'm also going to put a pin up here at the X for size 18. I'm going to move these down just a touch. I'm going to grab my marking tool, my chalk, and I'm just going to mark an X here over the pin, flip it over, and I'm going to mark another X on this side over the pin. Which kind of looks like a circle, but I know it's a marking. Right here it is a circle, so I'm just gonna kind of put a circle around it. And I'm gonna move this one because I already transferred the marking. And I'm just gonna put a marking right here at that circle so I know it's there. So now I can remove that pin, and I have my markings transferred. I have my notches notched. Now I'm going to remove the weights. I'm gonna remove these pins, and I'm gonna keep this pin in so that I can keep my pattern piece with my fabric. And so now I can cut out the remainder pieces for my jumper dress. Okay, y'all, so here we go. The first step was to go ahead and fuse our interfacing pieces. I'm going to do that a little bit later once I'm ready to actually start working with them. So I'm going to go ahead and go to step 2, which is to stitch the front together at the center front seam. So here is my piece 1. I'll go ahead and move my pattern piece here. So I'm going to grab my pins. I'm just going to start pinning my center front together. Now I can take it to the sewing machine, and I'm going to stitch on a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, back stitching at the beginning and at the end of the stitch. Now I'm going to take this to my serger and finish off my raw edge. So now I have the front 2 pieces sewn on the center front seam. I also finish off the raw edge with my serger. The next step would be to press this toward the left front. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and go to step 3. I'm going to stitch my back pieces together, finish off those edges. Then I can press these together and press them both toward the left front and the left back. So now I'm going to go ahead and stitch the back piece first. Lining up my notches, I'm going to go ahead and pin in place. Okay, so now I have it all pinned. I'm going to take it to the machine. I'm going to stitch it at a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, back stitching at the beginning and the end. Once I'm done stitching, then I'll take it to my serger and finish off the raw edge. Now with both the front and the back sewn, I can go ahead and take it to the ironing board, and I'm going to press it toward the left front and the left back. So press both of the seams toward the left. Okay, so now I have both my front and my back. Both of the seams are pressed going toward the left front and the left back. And so the next step, down on step 4, we need to stitch 1/4 of an inch from that seam. So if you stitch 1/4 of an inch from the seam going toward the left, you will be catching in that seam allowance that we just pressed toward the left. So let's go ahead and do that. Again, it's 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, so now I have the front and the back piece top stitched 1/4 of an inch away from the seam. So I'm gonna put these pieces to the side, and now we're gonna start working on the pocket. So for piece 3, I am first gonna apply a little bit of interfacing up here above that fold line. Remember, I snipped into it so I know where my fold line is. I'm gonna add some interfacing because I want to add a little kind of initial monogram using my machine onto my pocket. I think that'd be really cute. I saw Mimi G do it, and that idea just kind of stuck in my head, so I figured why not try it with this project. So I want to make sure it's stabilized, so I'm going to put a little bit of interfacing, like I said, right up here above the fold line, not below it so it's messing with the pocket, but just above it in the part that we're going to fold, just to stabilize it. Okay, so I have my interfacing applied. So now I'm going to press under 1/4 of an inch of the pocket. Again, this is the wrong side, so I'm pressing the right over to the wrong 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to press this down, and then once I have that pressed, then I'm going to fold it over along that fold line, following those snips that I put into the side of the pattern of the fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and do all this pressing now. Okay, so now I have everything pressed. So now I'm going to go ahead and stitch all the way around my seam line, and then I'll have a guide so I can fold everything in and give it a good press, and then I can just place it onto my jumper and then do an edge stitch around it. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch 5/8 of an inch all the way around my pocket, not at the top though, just the sides and this bottom edge and this side. Now that I've stitched all the way around the pocket, I'm going to go ahead and clip out some of this bulk up here around the top of the pocket. I'm just going to clip that out. Okay, and now I'm going to flip this out here, and now I can just go ahead and press along that seam line because I already have that guide for me. So I'm going to go to the machine now and press my pocket. Okay, y'all, so here's my pocket piece, and I'm getting ready to go ahead and play around on my machines to put my initial right here before I put this pocket onto my jumper dress. So I'm going to go ahead and end the video right here. This will be video 1 from Mccalls 7831. I'm working on view B in this pattern, so y'all stay tuned for the next video, and we'll go ahead and finish up the jumper then. Until next time, blessings, y'all. Bye.